Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the Weigh In Podcast. We are ready to recap UFC Vegas. Bautista versus Oliveira just wrapped up a few minutes ago. Fantastic fight card. I would say the best fight card of the year so far. Prelims were absolutely outstanding, but we're going to kick things off with summarizing the main card, and then we will give out our fight of the night and true performance of the night bonuses as per usual. So the main card kicked off with a light heavyweight bout between Dustin Jacoby and Julius Walker. Walker had a good first round, won some of the grappling exchanges, kind of had Jacoby on the back foot for the majority of the round. But the second round came, Jacoby rocked Walker badly and ended up putting him away for the finish, a minute 42 into the second round. Big performance for the Hanyak, and he rocked him. It looked like the fight was over. He started to walk away, but Dan Mergliotta did not step in to stop the fight yet. So Walker probably ate a few more shots than he should have. I think that stoppage was a little bit late for Big Dan, but Dustin Jacoby gets the win either way. Big win for him on a 3-fight knockout streak. So Jacoby probably going to get another ranked opponent next. But great fight to kick off the main card. Big performance for Jacoby. Looked really sharp in that second round as well. They trained together in the past for a few weeks, so might have been a little bit difficult. Seemed like they were on pretty, pretty friendly terms. Exchanged some friendly text messages before the fight, just saying, "Hey, it's just business." But got to be a little bit difficult too, going in there and landing those extra shots against a guy that you've trained with and respect. But big win for Jacoby either way, and a very fun fight. Next up was an incredible matchup between Farid Basharat and Gene Matsumoto. Matsumoto only one loss in his career against Rob Font, and Basharat coming in undefeated. And that was a fantastic back and forth. Basharat had a really solid first round. Matsumoto bounced back with a great second round, and then they slugged it out in the third. Personally, I thought Gene Matsumoto won that fight, but it was very, very close. One of those fights that could have gone either way. Absolutely not a robbery by any stretch of the imagination. So many fans call robbery in those close fights, but really could have gone either way. Just because I had it for Matsumoto doesn't mean it couldn't have gone to Basharat, because that was a very fun and close fight. The only complaint I have were the odds. Basharat was a minus 300 favorite. I did not agree with those odds at all. I thought Matsumoto was a very juicy underdog pick. Personally, I picked Matsumoto to win the fight before the fight started. Um, but yeah, I was very surprised that those odds were that wide, all things considered, because Matsumoto could have arguably won that fight against Rob Font too, the only loss in his entire career. So fantastic matchup. I think both of these guys are going to be in the rankings very soon. Um, I think both of them have top 10 potential for sure. So we may get a rematch on this fight down the line with even bigger stakes. I would love that. I'd love to see that fight for 5 rounds someday. Obviously, not right now. You can't just plug two unranked guys in a main event. But down the road, if they're both in the top 10, I would love to get a rematch on that fight at some point. That was phenomenal. It was technical. It was fun. Incredible grappling exchanges as well. Great fight. Congrats to Farad Basharat, remains undefeated. Our next fight was at middleweight between Michal Oleksiejczuk and Marc-Andre Barrio. This was highlighted by Dana White on If You Don't Know, Now You Know. And for the hardcore fans, this was the fight that everybody circled. Oleksiejczuk, 8 of his 9 UFC wins have come by way of first-round stoppage, and Marc-Andre Barrio is called the power bar for a reason. I think Laura Sanko was the one that said that on the broadcast, so fantastic breakdown for her. But that fight was so much fun. Oleksiejczuk looked phenomenal in the first round, had Barrio on the back feet, rocked him a couple times, knocked him down at one point, if I remember right. Just a fantastic first round for Oleksiejczuk. Second round, Michal started off same thing, just pressuring Barrio, pushing him backwards. But then Marc-Andre all of a sudden just flipped a switch about halfway through the second round and really started applying the pressure. He was doing a great job with the dirty boxing. He would clinch and then hit Oleksiejczuk with a lot of uppercuts, a lot of shots to the body, a lot of knees. And it looked like Oleksiejczuk was starting to fade a little bit. But come the third round, Barrio again started to apply the pressure, and Oleksiejczuk started firing back and would end up winning a unanimous decision, 29-28. Great fight. It was a lot of fun and a big win for Oleksiejczuk. I don't remember I think that puts him on a 3-fight winning streak as well, if I remember correctly. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head, but I think that puts him on a 3-fight win streak. So big win for Oleg Shaychuk, and another one that was just a knock him down, drag him out war. We had so many of these types of fights tonight. Big win for Oleg Shaychuk. Unfortunately, the next fight was not exactly that. It was a matchup between Jailton Almeida and Rizvan Kuniev, our feature bout. Almeida coming off that incredibly disappointing loss to Alexander Volkov, where he had like 11 minutes of control time and still lost because he only landed like 9 significant strikes. So Almeida really just one of the more frustrating fighters because he's so skilled. He's in phenomenal shape for the heavyweight division. He just doesn't do anything. He's just not active. And he's one of those guys that when he's aggressive, he finishes fights. 90% finish rate for Jailton Almeida, but he's still boring. That's honestly impressive. So a lot of fans had lower expectations for this fight, and Kuniev, it was his second fight in the UFC, got thrown to the sharks in his first fight facing Curtis Blades, and then coming off a loss, gets matched up against the number 6 guy in the world, just goes to show how highly the UFC thinks of him. And Kuniev won it all 3 rounds, unanimous decision. Stuffed the takedowns of Almeida. I think Almeida, I don't think he got a single takedown. And considering Kuniev is from Dagestan, that's not necessarily a surprise, but Kuniev just had the perfect game plan. And again, Almeida really didn't do a whole lot. It's not like Kuniev was exactly making it a barn burner either, but Almeida just had no urgency to get off the fence. Didn't really do a whole lot when they would, when they broke and were at space. Just not a lot happened on the side of Jailton Almeida. And it was just kind of a lackluster fight, a pretty typical heavyweight fight these days. Again, I kind of cut Kuniev a little bit of slack just because Almeida is usually pretty boring. But either way, it's a massive win for Kuniev. It's going to put him firmly in the top 10 in the heavyweight division. So we at least have a prospect at heavyweight right now that we can get behind because it's like Waldo Cortez Acosta, and that's really it in terms of like interesting guys coming up the heavyweight ladder. You could argue maybe Sergey Spivak and Ante Delia, but like kind of, but not really. So this is a big deal for the heavyweight division. I think it's because a lot of people wanted to see Giles and Almeida lose just because he's not that fun. So Kuniev at least gives us someone in the top 10 of the heavyweight division that we can get excited about. As for Almeida, that is a brutal loss for him, his second in a row. You just got to wonder when the wake up call comes that he realizes, hey, I've got to be more active. I have to do more. I have to be more aggressive in there. Hopefully it comes for him. Like, I'm rooting for him to figure that out. Because again, in terms of his skill set, he's a phenom. He's excellent. His ground game might be the best in the heavyweight division, but the thing is, he just doesn't do anything. If he can just be more active and get out of his own way, he has championship level talent. He's just got to get out of his own way. So we'll see if he can do that whenever he returns to the cage. But brutal loss for him. Big win for Kuniev. Thank God the next fight woke us back up. The co-main event between Amir Albazi and Kyoji Horiguchi, another one that the fans were super excited about. And that was a masterful performance from Kyoji Horiguchi. Rocked Amir Albazi multiple times, negated his takedowns. I think Albazi may have scored one takedown in there, but Horiguchi reversed it and got back up almost immediately. That was vintage Horiguchi. That was a phenomenal performance. Busted up Amir Albazi. Looked sensational, and Horiguchi joins a very crowded title picture. I mean, you've already got Manel Kape pushing for a title fight. You've got Tatsuro Taira pushing for a title fight. Now Horiguchi is pushing for a title fight. And of course, whenever Alexandre Pantoja returns, he will get an immediate title shot. So there's really 4 guys in the mix for the next flyweight title shot against Joshua Van. And I really don't think the fans would be mad at any of the 4. And something that's a little bit unique to Horiguchi is he is the lowest ranked out of all 4. However, he's by far the most accomplished of the 4 in high level competition. Well, other than Pantoja. I guess I should scrap that. Out of the 3 other than Pantoja, because if Pantoja's healthy, he's going to get the next shot. If it's not Pantoja, it's either Kape, Taira, or Horiguchi. Out of those 3, Horiguchi is by far the most accomplished. and I think he's on like a 6 or 7 fight winning streak, somewhere around there now. So out of those three, you could argue Horiguchi probably has the best case, despite being the lowest ranked, which is kind of funny. One of the rare cases in the UFC where the lower ranked guy actually works. But either way, phenomenal showcase from Kyoji Horiguchi in the co-main event. If he doesn't get the title shot, I would like to see him in a main event against whoever doesn't get the title shot between Kopp and Tyra. Um, Preferably Manel Kopp. I think Tatsuro Taira is probably going to get the next shot anyway. If Pantoja and Van did not end with a freak injury like it did, Tyra was kind of getting set up to be that next guy. So I would say if Pantoja's out, do Van and Tyra, and then in Japan, main event, and then go 5-round co-main with Manel Kopp and Kyoji Horiguchi. I think that would be insane. Do it in the Saitama Super Arena. It would be a crazy event. Let's head back to Japan. Give the Japanese flyweights their showcase. Kind of like a mini tournament. Of course, Pantoja kind of throws a wrench into that. But either way, let's just have some fun. Let's go to the Saitama Super Arena. Let the Japanese stars do their thing. Book it. And of course, our main event at bantamweight between Mario Bautista and Vinicius Oliveira. This was a horrible performance from Vinicius Oliveira. He showed no threat to Mario Bautista whatsoever. In my opinion, he's already cutting a massive amount of weight. So let's just go ahead and push Vinicius Oliveira up to 145 pounds because he's not going to be able to make that cut to bantamweight for much longer anyway. And he said so himself. So that's a good fight to just say, hey, let's just exit the division on that note because he's not going to get near the title picture if he's going to put up a performance like that. Normally a very explosive, aggressive, and fun guy to watch, but Mario Batista just completely shut him down. One-way traffic. As for Batista, that was a phenomenal performance. He's now won 9 of his last 10. His only loss coming against Umar Nurmagomedov. He called out Corey Sandhagen, and I personally love that fight. I still want to see O'Malley and Sandhagen, but there's rumors that O'Malley and Umar are in the works to fight. I love that. So if that's the case, I think Mario Batista and Corey Sandhagen makes a ton of sense. Batista actually fought Corey Sandhagen in his UFC debut all the way back in 2019. Let's run it back. Sandhagen coming off that title shot loss against Marab, and is not really in a good position for another title shot anytime soon. Mario Batista coming off that one loss to Umar. Let's do it. Because after that performance, Batista needs a higher ranked guy. He needs someone like either in the top 5 or just below the top 5. I think that call out makes perfect sense. Mario Batista, Corey Sandhagen, let's run it back now that they're both established contenders. Let's see a rematch. I'm all for it. So, real quick before I jump into the awards, let's just take a quick look at the prelims because the prelims were absolutely outstanding. And the first fight of the night really set the tone between Claudia Shigula and Priscilla Cachoeira. Phenomenal fight. Just an absolute war. Muin Gafarov and Yakov Vikwac, of course, put on a phenomenal fight. Despite both missing weight, Wang Tong and Eduardo Mora put on a great fight. Javid Bashrat and Gianni Vasquez, massive shout out to Vasquez. Taking the fight on just a few days' notice. He missed weight by 5 pounds, but with him taking the fight on such short notice, I give him a little bit of a pass. But he had a win over David Martinez on the regional scene, so he absolutely has fought some higher level competition and really put up a good showing for himself against Basharat. Ketlin Souza, Bruno Brazil wasn't that much fun. Nikolai Veretennikov and Nico Price was a lot of fun. One-way traffic for Veretennikov, phenomenal performance. And then our feature prelim between Alex Morono and Daniil Donchenko. Alex Morono is tough as nails, but Daniil Donchenko is an absolute dog. I cannot wait to see him. I was very excited about him coming off the Ultimate Fighter, and he really put on a good performance against Alex Morono. So, massive win for Daniil Donchenko, but Morono just, I mean, he ate some bombs from Daniil Donchenko in that fight. So, phenomenal performance for Donchenko. So, my pick for fight of the night is the main card bout between Farid Basharat and Gene Matsumoto. That is my pick for fight of the night. Incredible back and forth. Both guys brought it, gave everything they had. Like I said, Basharat won the first round. Matsumoto came back with a very strong second round, and they threw down in the third. Super competitive, very high level fight, very close, razor thin decision. That's my pick for fight of the night. My first performance bonus is going to go to Mario Bautista. Even though that was more just a lackluster performance from Vinicius Oliveira, Bautista did exactly what you're supposed to do if you're a high level contender, putting away a guy like that. He won every second of that fight. A shutout for Mario Bautista, which he finished in the second round. And that scramble, the finishing sequence, by the way, go back and watch it. That was some of the highest level grappling that I've seen in a while. Easily the best grappling exchange of 2026 so far. Phenomenal rear naked choke from Mario Bautista. Now, my second performance bonus was very tough to give out. I really thought about Nikolai Veretennikov because that first round knockout was phenomenal, extremely impressive. But Daniil Donchenko also put on a really good performance against Alex Morono as well. I am going to have to give it to Veretennikov, though, because he did just completely put away Nico Price in the first couple minutes. One of the cleanest KO combinations you'll see. Price was completely out on his feet. First round stoppage like that, I have to give it to Nikolai Veretennikov for my second bonus, but massive shout out to Daniil Donchenko and Alex Morono as well. Got to give credit to him because without his toughness, that fight could have been over very quickly, but I would say the UFC is probably going to take care of Donchenko and Morono both. So they'll get some kind of thing. But for my performance bonus, it's going to go to Nikolai Veretennikov. So fight of the night, Gene Matsumoto and uh Farid Basharat, not Javid. Farid Basharat. Matsumoto and Basharat on the main card, fight of the night. Performance bonuses to Mario Bautista and Nikolai Veretennikov. UFC Fight Night, Bautista versus Oliveira was the most action-packed card of the year so far. If you missed it because it didn't really have a lot of name value, shame on you. Because first of all, it did, if you know. And second of all, that was a phenomenal card. Action-packed. The UFC, unfortunately, is off next weekend for Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day to you and yours. Go have a very nice dinner. Treat your lady or your gentleman, whatever. Whoever's watching this, ladies and gentlemen, treat your significant other to a phenomenal night. Go enjoy it. Um, and we will be back on February 21st. Sean Strickland, Anthony Hernandez will be the next fight night. I'll see you guys before then. I'll do some kind of episodes throughout the next couple weeks, but that'll be the next recap. So this puts a cap on UFC Fight Night Bautista versus Oliveira. I will see you guys next time. Peace.